The water is up to your chest, and you no longer recognize the street where you were born. Around you, there is nothing but broken beams, blackened stone, and bodies the current drags along like driftwood. You try to scream, but the smoke has burned your throat for hours now, and only a hoarse sound comes out, lost in the roar of the fire. A bell, torn from its tower, strikes against the rubble a few feet from you, and that metallic sound is the only thing still tying you to the city you knew this morning. A few hours ago, Lisbon smelled of wax and incense, not ash. A few hours ago, you were alive in a way you will never be again. It all began at dawn on November 1st, 1755. It is All Saints' Day, and the whole city has dressed for the occasion. The church bells ring one after another before the sun has even risen, calling the faithful to First Mass. You walk toward the Say Cathedral with the calm steps of someone who has made this same walk hundreds of times. The air is still cool, and the Tagus River, wide and silver, reflects the first ships leaving the harbor loaded with spices, fabrics, and news from other continents. This morning, Lisbon is one of the richest cities in Europe. Brazilian gold has filled its palaces with silver, its churches with gilded carvings, and its streets with a bustle that never seems to stop. You step into the cathedral, and the smell of warm wax wraps around you at once. Thousands of candles burn on the altars, in the side chapels, in the hands of those kneeling in prayer. The stone floor is cold beneath your feet, and for a moment, you close your eyes and listen to the priest's Latin blend with an old man's cough and a child's distant crying. You don't know it yet, but that sound, that mix of human voices inside a full church, is the last ordinary thing you will hear for a long time. At 9:40 in the morning, something changes. It isn't a sound yet, just a sensation, as if the ground were breathing beneath the stone. One of the candles on the main altar flickers for no reason at all. A silver chalice trembles on the embroidered altar cloth, letting out a sharp, ringing note that no one else seems to notice. You look up at the gilded vaults, and for a second you're struck with the strange certainty that the columns have moved, though you couldn't say in which direction. Then, the first blow comes. It isn't a gentle tremor. It's a whiplash that shakes the entire cathedral side to side, as if a giant had struck the foundations with his fist. The floor splits open in a crack beneath the front pews, and people fall over one another amid screams that rise all the way to the vaults. One of the bell towers starts to sway, and its bells, untouched by any hand, begin ringing on their own, a deranged toll that mixes with the crowd's cries. You run for the main door, pushed by dozens of bodies chasing the same thing you are. The dust of groundstone fills your lungs before you even reach the street. You taste its harsh grit on your tongue, mixed with the metallic tang of blood from a split lip you never saw coming. Outside, the morning light has vanished behind a gray cloud that covers the rooftops like a lid. The second jolt, longer than the first, knocks you to the ground. To your left, the facade of a 3-story building peels away whole, as if it were made of cardboard, and crashes onto the street with a roar that leaves you deaf for several seconds. You watch a man disappear beneath that facade, and there is nothing you can do for him. The ground beneath your hands is no longer solid. It moves in waves, as if you were walking on the surface of a frozen lake, cracking apart underneath. Around you, Lisbon is collapsing in layers. First, the cornices and rooftop statues fall, then the bell towers, then entire facades that open onto the street like mouths of stone. The air fills with a thick smell of lime and splintered wood, And beneath that smell, another one begins to surface, more unsettling, the smell of smoke, because the candles burning in thousands of altars and homes have just lit the first fires among the rubble. Someone shouts that you need to get to the river. It's what people always say in an earthquake, that open spaces are safest, far from buildings that could crush you. You join a tide of people heading down toward the harbor, stumbling over fallen beams, loose animals running wild, people who can no longer get up. The dust is so thick you can barely make out shapes 10 steps away, and you breathe through dry coughs that tear at your chest. You reach the dock with bloodied hands and trembling knees, not only from fear, but because the ground still vibrates beneath your feet in smaller aftershocks that won't quite stop. Hundreds of people have gathered there, some on their knees praying, others in complete silence, staring at a city they no longer recognize. And then you notice something strange. The water is pulling back. Not with the slowness of a normal tide, but all at once, as if someone had pulled a plug beneath the Tagus. The riverbed lies exposed within minutes, revealing the hulls of ships sunk generations ago, rusted anchors, objects no one has seen in decades. Some people, confused, even walk out onto that muddy bed, drawn by the strangeness of the moment, not understanding what that emptiness is warning them of. You stand still, with a weight in your stomach you can't yet name. Something in you, something old and animal, tells you to step back, that this silence in the water is more dangerous than any tremor. The roar arrives before you see the wave. A low, unbroken sound you feel in your chest before you hear it with your ears. Then you see it, a wall of dark water advancing on the harbor, swallowing ships, docks, and the people who moments ago were walking across the exposed riverbed. You run, but the water is faster than any person, and it hits you from behind with a force that tears the ground out from under your feet and drags you inland through wreckage, ropes, and bodies. When you finally surface, the city you see is no longer the one where you prayed this morning. The water has flooded entire streets, and among the columns of smoke rising from dozens of different points, you realize that the fire, fed by the candles of the feast day and the stoves lit for the midday meal, is spreading with nothing left to stop it. The fires will burn for several days, devouring what the earthquake and the sea failed to destroy. Entire libraries, royal archives, palaces, and works of art that took centuries to build vanish into the flames within hours. But you won't be there to see it clearly, because the water has carried you to this unrecognizable street, to this moment where your chest feels weighed down with stones. You try to swim toward a heap of debris jutting up like an island, but your arms no longer answer with their old strength. The cold of the water has crept under your skin and now competes with the heat of the nearby fire, and that clash of opposite sensations feels strangely, almost hypnotic. You manage to grab hold of a beam and lift your head above the water, coughing up a dark liquid that tastes of salt, of smoke, and of something you'd rather not recognize. Your breathing turns short, ragged, as if the air can no longer find room inside you. In the distance, the voices of other survivors sound farther and farther away, even though you haven't moved from this spot, as if the world itself were pulling away from you instead of the other way around. The pain in your chest grows deeper, and with every attempt to breathe, you feel the water has found a place inside you. It will never leave. Your fingers, gripping the wood, begin losing their strength one by one, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The smoke tints the sky a color you've never seen over Lisbon, not even in the deepest summer sunsets. You no longer feel cold or heat clearly, only a general weight pulling you down, as if the city itself wanted to take you with it, to the bottom of the river the water had abandoned barely an hour before. The sounds fade away one after another. First the voices, then the crackle of the fire, then the roar of the water surrounding you, and finally, your own breath. Between 60 and 100,000 people lost their lives. But the earthquake was only the beginning. First, the ground began to open beneath the feet of thousands of people. Then a massive tsunami tore through the harbor and the streets nearby. And just when it seemed the horror could go no further, fires devoured the city for several days, reducing entire neighborhoods to ash. It was not a single catastrophe. It was 3 consecutive disasters that struck Lisbon without giving anyone time to escape. That morning changed the history of Portugal forever, leaving a mark so deep that, even today, it is still remembered as one of the most devastating natural disasters Europe has ever known.